The first thing Elara learned about death was that it had a smell, smoke and copper and the sweet, sick rot of burned flesh that coated everything. Skin, hair, the back of her throat where even 3 months later she still tasted ash. Her wolf's enhanced senses made it worse, made every scent a branded memory that her human mind could not escape even in waking hours. 3 months after Wolfsbane burned, that smell still lived in her nostrils, still woke her gasping at 0300, still made her wolf whimper and hide deep inside the place where shifting used to be natural as breathing. Tonight the nightmare was worse than usual, more vivid, more real. She was back in the flames, back digging through rubble with paws that bled on hot metal and broken concrete, back using wolf nose to track scents through choking smoke, back finding her mother's body crushed under a fallen beam, her father's nearby, his hand still reaching toward his mate even in death. That image haunted her most, the idea that in their final moments they had tried to reach each other, had tried to die together, had succeeded. Back finding her alpha, her beta, the wolves she had grown up with, everyone she had ever known reduced to cooling meat that her wolf identified with genetic certainty even when fire had destroyed faces beyond recognition. 217 souls, 217 scents burned into permanent memory, 217 failures because she had survived and they had not. She jolted awake at 0300 exactly, the same time every night, as if her body remembered the moment attackers breached the perimeter, as if trauma had set an internal alarm that would not stop ringing. Sweat plastered her thin shirt to skin, made the refugee camp barracks feel stifling despite October cold seeping through inadequate insulation. Around her, 46 other survivors slept in narrow cots, most fitfully, most waking several times per night, most carrying the same nightmares, the same survivor guilt, the same question that had no answer. Why them? Why survival when so many better wolves had died screaming? Elara swung legs out of the cot. Bare feet hit cold concrete. The shock of temperature helped ground her, reminded her she was here now, not then, not burning. She pulled on worn jeans and a jacket 2 sizes too big, donated clothes from people who pitied them. Her boots were the only possessions that had survived, steel-toed, scuffed, border patrol issue. She laced them and walked out into pre-dawn darkness. The camp was prefabricated shelters, surrounded by chain-link fence topped with razor wire. Guard towers at each corner. Coalition security meant well but could not keep out memories, could not stop nightmares, could not fill the void where pack bonds used to sing in her blood. Now there was just silence, the terrible quiet of broken connections, of pack members who would never answer again. Her wolf stirred restlessly, paced inside mental space where shifting should happen, wanted to emerge, wanted to run, wanted to howl grief and rage that human form could not properly express. But the shift would not come, had not come in 93 days. Elara had tried until exhaustion made her collapse still trapped in human skin, tried until the pack doctor physically stopped her, tried until she understood that wanting was not enough, that trauma had broken something fundamental inside her, that she might never shift again, might spend the rest of her life as half a person, incomplete, damaged. She walked the camp perimeter, let cold air clear her head, let exhaustion settle into bones that never quite stopped aching. By 0500 she was almost calm, almost functional. Then she saw her sister waiting by the east fence like a predator who knew exactly when prey would appear. Elara Kane looked like success incarnate, intelligence officer uniform crisp despite the early hour, dark hair pulled into a severe bun that emphasized sharp cheekbones and cold eyes, posture perfect, confidence radiating from every line of her body. She had always been the successful sister, the one who made their alpha proud, who earned commendations and promotions, who rose through coalition ranks on merit and ruthless ambition, while Elara had been content with border patrol, with quiet competence, with not standing out, with being part of the pack instead of above it. "You are awake early." Cassandra's voice held no warmth. Never did. Their relationship had been complicated before Wolfsbane, competitive in the way of sisters with 4 years between them. Now it was just cold. distance that felt like judgment. The Coalition investigator comes today. 4th interview. You need to remember details, faces, names, anything that helps us find the ones responsible. I am trying. Elara kept her voice flat, emotionless, easier than showing how much the accusation stung, how much it hurt that her own sister seemed to think she was not trying hard enough, not grieving properly, not being useful enough to justify survival. Try harder. Cassandra checked an expensive watch. Probably cost more than Elara had earned in 6 months of border patrol. Gideon Krayev is still out there, building his forces, recruiting, planning more attacks. Your memories could save lives, prevent another massacre, if you could bother to access them instead of wallowing in self-pity. The words hit like claws raking across open wounds. Elara's wolf snarled, pushed against mental barriers, wanted to show teeth, to defend, to prove they were not weak, not broken, not useless, but the shift would not come, would not obey, leaving her human and helpless against her sister's contempt, against the implication that she was choosing not to remember, choosing not to be useful, choosing to wallow when wolves were dying. Marcus Thorne is asking about you. Cassandra dropped the name like a stone into still water, watching for ripples, for reaction, testing to see if anything could penetrate the grief fog that surrounded her little sister. Elara went very still. What? The Iron Peak Alpha's son. His father wants a political alliance, a mate bond to stabilize border territories post-massacre. You are being considered. Cassandra's expression was clinical, evaluating, like she was assessing livestock for breeding potential. It would be good for you. A purpose beyond this camp. A pack. A future. A reason to move forward. Unless you prefer staying here indefinitely feeling sorry for yourself. I barely know him. You barely know anyone outside Wolfsbane, which no longer exists. The bluntness was cruel, calculated, designed to shock, to force reaction, to break through the numb fog. The dead are dead. Nothing changes that. But the living need to keep living. Marcus is a good match, strong alpha bloodline. His pack respects him. You could do far worse than becoming Luna of a border pack. You would have purpose, responsibility. You could matter again instead of just taking up space. Think about it. She left. Elara stood in the cold and wanted to scream, wanted to shift, wanted to do anything except stand there feeling like a charity case being traded for political convenience, like livestock with just enough value to be useful in negotiations. Marcus Thorne. She remembered him vaguely from territory meetings. Tall, broad-shouldered, confident in the way alphas usually were. Handsome. Everything an Omega was supposed to want. Except she did not want anything right now except for her family to be alive. For Wolfsbane to exist. For the nightmares to stop. For her wolf to answer when she called. For the void in her chest where pack bonds used to sing to be filled with something other than screaming silence. The investigator arrived at noon exactly. Coalition Internal Affairs. A beta wolf named Stevens with gray hair and patient eyes. Kind. Understanding. He had interviewed her 6 times over 3 months. Always gentle. Always patient. Always leaving disappointed when she could not remember faces. Could not identify attackers. Could not give him anything useful beyond screams and fire and the smell of death. Let us try something different today. He set up a laptop in the small interview room, pulled up a folder of photographs, high-resolution images, professional quality, the kind that came from surveillance and intelligence networks. These are known associates of Gideon Krayev, members of his inner circle, his lieutenants and commanders. Tell me if anyone looks familiar. Take your time. Really look at each face. Face after face appeared on the screen. Hard men, cold eyes, scars and tattoos, wolves who believed in Gideon's vision, who thought the coalition was weak, who wanted to return to clan wars and pack dominance, who believed the strong should rule and the weak should serve or die. None of them triggered memory. None were the face she had seen through smoke and rubble in those final moments before consciousness fled. Then one photograph loaded, and the world stopped spinning. Scarred face, angular features, eyes like chips of winter ice. The scar ran from left eye to jaw, thick, raised. Silver weapon scar that never healed properly because silver prevented regeneration. Old injury from a blade that should have killed. She knew that face, had burned it into memory in the seconds before darkness took her, had seen it in nightmares every night since, had heard that voice cold and professional giving orders to burn everything. The room tilted, spun. Air left her lungs. She was back in the rubble, back trapped under collapsed concrete with shrapnel buried in her side, back hearing boots crunch on debris, back hearing that voice. Gideon wants no survivors. Make sure. Burn it all. Leave nothing they can use. Him. Her voice cracked, broke. That one. He led the attack. He gave the orders. He supervised the burning. Stevens went very still. You are certain? Elara, this is critically important. You are absolutely certain this is the man you saw? I will never forget that face. Never. The memory was crystallizing now, breaking through trauma blocks that had protected her from full recollection. She could see more, hear more, remember details buried under 3 months of grief and shock. They were not just attacking us, not just killing. They were looking for something specific. He said package secured before they withdrew. They stole something from Wolfsbane. That is why they came. We were not the target. We were just in the way. Stevens closed the laptop, stood abruptly. His hands were shaking slightly. Stay here. Do not leave this room. Do not speak to anyone. I need to make a call. This changes everything. He left. Elara sat alone with memories flooding back in vivid detail. With the weight of identification settling on shoulders that already carried too much, she had given them a face, a name probably, a lead that could matter, and somehow that felt like the first step toward something, toward purpose, toward making the dead count for something other than statistics and coalition reports. 20 minutes later, Stevens returned. He was not alone. The man who entered behind him was not just large. He was massive in a way that transcended simple physical size. 6'4", maybe 240 pounds of muscle and controlled violence. But it was not his body that made every instinct Elara possessed sit up and scream. It was the power that rolled off him in waves. Ancient, primal, absolute. This was not alpha dominance. This was something far older. Something that spoke to the deepest instincts of pack hierarchy, of submission to strength that could not be challenged, of recognition that she was in the presence of apex predator. Her wolf, who had been hiding for 3 months, suddenly pressed forward, curious, wary, drawn to power that felt like home in ways she could not explain. Then his eyes met hers and everything changed. Gold. Pure molten gold. Not human, not even normal wolf. Something older, something ancient, something that burned with power that transcended rank or title or position. They locked onto her with an intensity that felt physical, that made her pulse spike and breathing stop, made her wolf surge forward, pressing against mental walls that had kept her trapped for months, made awareness flood her system like lightning striking and setting every nerve ending on fire. The bond hit them both simultaneously. It was not gentle, not soft, not the slow build of compatibility that normal mate bonds were supposed to be. This was cataclysm, explosion, lightning strike, a golden rope of fate that snapped into place between them with enough force to make them both stagger. Elara gasped, grabbed the table edge, felt the world tilt as sudden, overwhelming awareness of him flooded her senses. His presence, his power, his wolf recognizing hers with absolute certainty, his shock mirroring her own in the split second before training and discipline slammed control back into place. This could not be happening. This could not be real. Mate bonds did not form like this, did not hit like freight trains destroying everything in their path, did not exist between Omega refugees living in camps and whatever the hell he was. Ancient, powerful, dangerous. The bond hummed between them, golden cord connecting her chest to his, vibrating with life and purpose and inevitability. No, this was wrong. This was impossible. This had to be trauma response, desperation manifesting as false connection, loneliness creating phantom bonds to fill the void. Except the bond felt solid, real, undeniable, a living thing that sang in her blood and made her wolf press harder against barriers, wanting out, wanting contact, wanting what fate apparently decreed they should have. Miss Kane. His voice was gravel and thunder, deep enough to vibrate in her chest, authority wrapped in power that made submission instinctive. Every word carried weight, commanded attention, demanded obedience not through force, but through simple fact of what he was. I am Kieran Blackthorne, Lycan King. I need to ask you questions about what you witnessed at Wolfsbane. Lycan King. The title registered dimly through the chaos of bond recognition. Not Alpha, not pack leader. King, ruler of all wolves under coalition authority. The living law, the enforcement arm, judge and executioner, ancient beyond measure, powerful beyond comprehension. And her mate, her God's damned fated mate. The universe had a sick sense of humor. Kieran was staring at her, his expression carved from granite, but those gold eyes burned, his wolf visible just beneath human skin, pressing against control, wanting to respond to bond, to claim, to protect, to possess. She could feel it through the connection, could feel his shock, his resistance, his wolf howling mate, 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 while his human mind tried to reject what fate had decreed, tried to maintain distance, tried to pretend this was not happening. Your Majesty. She forced the words out, forced herself to stand on shaking legs, to meet those burning eyes even as every instinct screamed to look away, to bare throat, to submit to dominance that made her wolf want to roll over and show belly. She refused. If she was going to be interrogated by a legend made flesh, by her apparent fated mate who clearly did not want the bond any more than she did, then she would at least pretend to have dignity, would at least maintain the illusion that she was not broken, not damaged, not completely destroyed by what had happened. Something flickered across his harsh features. Might have been approval, might have been surprise, might have been the beginning of respect for an Omega who met his eyes instead of cowering. He pulled out a chair, sat with fluid grace, gestured for her to do the same. The casual movement should have been normal. Instead, it put them 3 feet apart, close enough for the bond to sing louder, for awareness to intensify until she could feel him breathing, could feel his heartbeat like a drum in her own chest, could feel his wolf pacing just beneath skin, wanting closer, wanting contact, wanting what biology and fate and the moon herself had decided they needed. The man you identified is Victor Steele, Gideon Krayev's second in command, his chief lieutenant and primary enforcer. Confirming his presence at Wolfsbane gives us operational intelligence we desperately need. Kieran's voice was professionally neutral, giving nothing away. But the bond betrayed him. She could feel his wolf pacing, could feel him fighting the urge to reach across the space, to touch, to confirm the mate bond was real and not hallucination, to scent her properly, to catalog everything about her so his wolf would calm the hell down and let him think. Tell me everything you remember about that night, every detail. Take your time. This is important. For 2 hours she talked. Kieran listened without interrupting. Just absorbed every word with focus that felt like physical touch through the bond. Made concentration difficult when she could feel his attention on her like weight, like pressure, like inevitability. The bond made everything harder, made every word feel weighted with meaning, made awareness of him impossible to ignore. His scent was winter pine and smoke and something wild that had no name. His presence filled the small room until breathing felt difficult. His power pressed against her like storm front moving in. When she mentioned her father's work managing coalition supplies, his eyes flared brighter. Full gold now. Wolf much closer to surface than human should allow outside shift. Your father was coalition quartermaster for Western Territories. He managed weapons distribution, ammunition, equipment, supply manifests, and delivery schedules. Did he keep records at home? Files or data that might have been targets? The question made pieces click into place, made the attack make sense in ways it had not before. He had an encrypted hard drive, said it was inventory records, supply chains. He kept it in a safe in his office at home. I never thought about it being valuable. It was just his work, just records. Did the attackers access that safe? I do not know. The building collapsed during the fire. Everything burned. I was already unconscious by then, buried in rubble. She swallowed hard. Is that what they came for? Is that why everyone died? For a hard drive full of supply data? Kieran exchanged looks with Stevens. The investigator had gone pale, hands shaking as he made notes. If Gideon has coalition supply chain intelligence, he can predict our movements months in advance, can ambush shipments, steal weapons before they reach packs, stage attacks with perfect timing because he knows exactly when and where we will be vulnerable. It changes everything. Makes him exponentially more dangerous. which makes Miss Kane the only witness who can testify to what was stolen and why, who can identify Victor in tribunal, who represents accountability for war crimes. Kieran stood, the bond stretched between them like elastic, uncomfortable when distance increased, insistent, demanding they move closer, not farther. He pulled out a phone, made one call, 3 words, "Execute witness extraction." "What are you doing?" Elara stood too, the bond intensified with proximity, made breathing difficult, made thinking harder, made her wolf press forward harder, wanting out, wanting contact, wanting to touch him to confirm mate, to complete the bond properly through scent and touch and recognition. "Keeping you alive. You are coming with me to Obsidian Fortress. You will work with intelligence to document everything you remember. You will testify when we locate Victor, and I will ensure you survive long enough to do both." His gold eyes pinned her in place. "This is not negotiable. You are too valuable to lose, and the bond makes you my responsibility, whether either of us wants it or not." Or, the acknowledgement of the bond hit like a blow. He felt it too, knew what it meant, and clearly resented it as much as she did. Mate bonds were supposed to be joyful, celebrated. This felt like burden neither wanted, like complication in the middle of war, like fate laughing at them both. "I do not get a choice?" "No." Brutally honest. No false comfort. No pretense. "You are critical witness to war crimes. You have information that could turn this war. And you are—" He stopped, jaw clenched, fighting word. "You are mine to protect. That is not negotiable. Pack your belongings. We leave in 30 minutes. 29 minutes later, Elara sat in the back of an armored SUV with everything she owned in one duffel bag. Cassandra had not come to say goodbye. Probably did not know yet. Probably would not care. Stevens had squeezed her shoulder and promised the survivors would be looked after, that the camp would be safe, that she was doing important work. Then she was leaving, moving, following a mate bond to a king who did not want her. Kieran sat across from her. 2 Lycan enforcers flanked him. The bond hummed between them, constant, insistent, making the confined space feel smaller, more intimate, more impossible to ignore. She could feel him fighting it, could feel his wolf straining against iron control, could feel his determination to maintain distance, to not acknowledge what fate had decreed, to treat this as duty instead of destiny. "Where exactly are we going?" She needed words. Needed something other than bond awareness consuming her attention. Needed to focus on anything except how his scent filled the vehicle, how his presence pressed against her shields, how her wolf wanted to shift just to get closer to his wolf. "Obsidian Fortress, my stronghold, most secure location on the continent, 300 permanent residents, full military garrison, intelligence division, medical facilities, training grounds." He was reading reports on a tablet, not looking at her, using work as shield against bond pull. "You will have quarters in the secured wing, medical access, psychological support, training facilities." "Training? You were border patrol. You have tactical foundation, basic combat skills, weapon familiarity. I am going to ensure you can defend yourself properly, that you can shift again." Now he looked up. Gold eyes met hers, held. "Your wolf is locked down. Trauma response. Psychological block preventing shift. We are going to fix that. You need your wolf functional, need to be whole, for your own sake, not just as witness." "What if I cannot shift? What if the block is permanent?" "Then we work until you can. Shifting is not optional for wolves. It is part of who we are. Being unable to shift is like being unable to breathe properly. You will shift again. I will make certain of it." His tone left no room for argument. No possibility of failure, just absolute certainty. "And the bond makes your well-being my concern, your health, your safety, your recovery. Whether either of us wants that responsibility does not matter. Fate decided. We deal with consequences." The bluntness should have offended. Instead, it felt almost comforting. He was not pretending, not offering false comfort, not acting like this was anything other than what it was. Unwanted complication. Mate bond neither asked for, stuck with each other in the middle of war. They would deal with it, make it functional, survive, nothing more. No romance, no happy ending, Just duty and necessity and making the best of bad situation. The drive took 6 hours through mountain roads that climbed until air grew thin and cold. The obsidian fortress appeared like something from ancient times, black stone walls rising directly from the mountain, carved from living rock, fortifications that had never fallen in 800 years, guard towers equipped with modern weapons, ancient battlements, technology integrated with stone that had stood since before Coalition existed. This was not palace. This was military installation commanded by King, who was also general. Warlord. Law incarnate. Inside was organized chaos that somehow functioned like precision machine. Lycans moved with purpose, some in tactical gear, some in dress uniforms, some in training clothes, everything from modern firearms to traditional blades, training yards, command centers, barracks, medical, libraries, everything needed to run force of 300 permanent residents plus visiting delegations and petitioners. The power dynamics were immediately visible. Obvious. Lycans moved aside for Kieran, bowed, showed throat. Absolute submission to absolute authority. This was not democracy. This was rule by strongest predator. And now they were staring at her, at the Omega walking beside their king, scenting the mate bond even though it was new and incomplete, recognizing what it meant. Their eyes went wide. Whispers started immediately, speculation and shock. Their king had found his mate, an Omega, a refugee, someone from outside their hierarchy, someone who smelled like trauma and grief. This was not how succession was supposed to work. Queens were chosen from among them, from established bloodlines, not from broken refugees pulled from camps. Elara stumbled under the weight of realization. These wolves thought she would be their queen, expected her to rule alongside Kieran, to be Luna of all Lycans under Coalition authority. The responsibility was crushing, impossible. She was broken, damaged, could not even shift, could not be queen when she could not even be whole wolf. This was wrong. This was mistake. The bond had to be broken before this went further. Kieran caught her elbow as she swayed. The first physical contact. The bond exploded, singing, demanding, flooding her system with awareness and need and rightness that terrified her more than anything. She jerked away. He released her immediately, both of them breathing hard, both fighting the pull, fighting fate that tried to drag them together against will and logic and everything sensible. "Your quarters." His voice was rougher now, strained. He stopped at a secured door, pressed his palm to biometric lock. It opened to reveal suite, bedroom, bathroom, small office with desk and computer, functional but comfortable, window overlooking training yards far below. Door locks from inside, panic button connects to my personal guard. This keycard gives you access to public areas, mess hall, medical, recreation, library. Do not wander alone, not until we establish security protocols and ensure no one here means you harm. When does debriefing start? Tomorrow, 0800. Intelligence will want full account, every detail recorded properly. He was already backing toward the door, putting distance between them, distance the bond protested with almost physical pain. Tonight you rest, adjust. The bond is new. It will be difficult for both of us. Try to sleep despite the pull. Tomorrow we begin real work. He left. The door closed. The lock engaged. Elara stood in her new quarters and tried to process everything. She was in Obsidian Fortress, home of the Lycan King, her mate. A bond she did not want with male who clearly did not want her. Expected to be witness and trainee and eventually maybe queen. While still broken, still unable to shift, still carrying 3 months of trauma, still mourning everyone she had ever loved. The weight of it was crushing. Too much. Far too much for one person who could barely get through a single day without nightmares destroying any attempt at sleep. She showered, changed into donated clothes, found the mess hall with directions from a guard who stared at her with mix of curiosity and pity. Ate food she did not taste. Every bite felt like ash. Returned to her room. Lay in bed staring at ceiling as exhaustion pulled at her, but sleep refused to come. The bond hummed. Constant presence at the edge of awareness. She could feel Kieran somewhere in the fortress, several floors above, could feel his presence like pressure in her chest, could feel his wolf pacing, restless, fighting bond instincts. She wondered if he was sleeping any better than she was. Doubted it. Mate bonds were demanding, insistent, would not be ignored even when both parties wanted desperately to pretend they did not exist. At 0200, she gave up trying to sleep, dressed, left her room quietly. The guard straightened immediately. "Ma'am, you should not be out alone at this hour." "I need air, please, just a few minutes." Her voice cracked. "I cannot sleep. I need space to breathe." One guard spoke into a radio. Minutes later, a scarred sergeant appeared. Older, weathered, kind eyes. "I will escort you to observation deck. 20 minutes, then back to quarters. No arguments." The deck was 5 floors up, open to night sky. The view stretched for miles. Mountains and forest and darkness broken by distant fortress lights. Cold wind bit through her jacket, but she welcomed it. Out here, with sky above and space around, she could almost think clearly, could almost process everything without feeling like walls were closing in. "You are the Wolfsbane survivor." The sergeant's voice was not unkind, matter of fact. "And our king's mate. That is a heavy burden for one person to carry. I did not ask for either. No one asks for fate. We just deal with what we are given and try to make something of it." He lit a cigarette, offered her one. She declined. "I fought in the blood wars 30 years ago, lost my pack, my mate, my pups, everyone. Thought I would die too, wanted to. But here I am, still breathing, still fighting, still finding reasons to get up every morning. You will too. Give it time." "The bond, does it get easier to ignore? Mate bonds?" He exhaled smoke that the wind tore away. "They are what you make them. Can be blessing or burden depending on whether you fight or accept. Fighting just makes you both miserable. Bond does not care about want, only about need, about what fate decided you require. Your king is a good male, hard, but fair, honorable. He will protect you, provide for you, respect you. That is more than most matings get, especially arranged political ones. The rest you build together, if you both choose to try instead of resisting. What if we do not want it? What if neither of us asked for this? Then you suffer needlessly. Bond will not break just because you wish it, will not fade because you ignore it. Eventually the pull becomes painful, affects health, weakens both parties. Better to accept reality, adapt, find way to make it work even if it is not what you imagined. Life rarely is. He checked his watch. "Time is up. Back to quarters. Try to sleep. Tomorrow will be harder than you think. First day always is." Elara slept 4 hours, better than expected. Woke to awareness of Kieran's presence through bond before alarm sounded. He was already awake, already working, already preparing for day. She could feel his determination, his focus, his wolf still pacing, but contained, controlled. She dressed quickly, found the training room he had specified in message left on her door. He was waiting, already warmed up, wearing simple training gear that did nothing to hide power of his frame. Gold eyes tracked her approach with predator focus. "We start with conditioning. Physical first, then hand-to-hand combat, then shifting work." His voice was all business. No acknowledgement of bond pulling between them, no mention of their mutual lack of sleep. The bond makes proximity difficult, makes focus harder. We ignore it. Focus on work. Understood? Understood. "Good. Run! Track circles this room. 20 laps. Go!" The next 3 hours were brutal in ways nothing had prepared her for. He pushed her harder than anyone ever had, ran her until lungs burned and legs shook, drilled hand to hand until every muscle screamed, corrected form, adjusted stance, showed no mercy, but also showed no anger, no frustration, just patient, relentless pressure, teaching, training, forging something from broken pieces. By hour 3, she was ready to collapse, could barely stand. He called halt. "Shifting now. Your wolf needs to emerge, needs to remember what it means to be whole, to be complete." He moved to center of mat. "Watch me." His shift was not like anything she had ever seen. Most wolves took time, struggled through transformation, bones breaking and reforming. Painful process even for experienced shifters. Kieran simply let go of human form. One moment he was man, next he was wolf. Massive beast, black as midnight, eyes still burning gold. larger than any wolf she had ever seen. Power rolled off him in waves that made her stumble back. His wolf looked at her, waiting, expectant, patient. Her wolf surged forward desperately, wanting to answer, wanting to shift and run and be whole again. But the fear came too, the memory of shifting to dig through rubble, of using paws to move burning debris, of finding bodies with wolf nose that identified pack through scent, of horror too intense for human mind but overwhelming to wolf senses. She locked up, could not move, could not shift, could not do anything except shake as trauma won again, blocked her wolf behind walls built from grief and terror. Kieran shifted back, human again in heartbeat. He crossed to her in 2 strides, gripped her shoulders firm but not painful, forced her to look at him. Look at me. Focus on my voice. You are safe. Wolfsbane is past. You are here, now, in my fortress, under my protection. Your wolf wants to run with mine, needs to complete mate bond properly. Let it happen. I cannot. I have tried. It will not come. You can. You are afraid. That is natural. That is expected. But fear does not control you. I do not allow it. You are stronger than trauma, stronger than fear. Your wolf is not gone, just locked away. And I am giving you direct order as your king and your mate. Shift, now. The alpha command hit like thunder, bypassed conscious thought, spoke directly to Wolf, who could not disobey King, could not refuse direct order from strongest dominant who was also mate. Her wolf lunged forward, breaking through 3 months of trauma, breaking through fear and grief and walls built to protect, breaking free an explosion of power that hurt like dying and rebirth combined. The shift hurt. Gods, it hurt. Like being torn apart at molecular level and reassembled wrong. Like every nerve ending on fire simultaneously. She screamed, heard it turn to howl. Then she was 4 paws, fur, wolf. For the first time in 93 days, she was whole. And it was glorious. Her wolf shook, tested limbs that remembered how to move, looked up at Kieran, who was smiling, actually smiling. First time she had seen that expression. It transformed his face, made him look younger, less harsh. Good, very good. Now run with me. He shifted again. They ran, through fortress corridors, downstairs, out to enclosed training yards where they could move without restraint. Her wolf was smaller than his, gray where he was black, but fast, agile, joyful. For the first time since Wolfsbane, she felt alive, felt like herself, felt whole instead of broken pieces held together by will alone. They ran until exhaustion forced them to stop, shifted back to human form together. How do you feel? Kieran asked. His breathing was not even labored despite the run. Ancient stamina. Better, whole, complete. I did not think it would happen. Did not think I could. She was crying. Could not stop. Thank you. Thank you for forcing me through the block. Your wolf is part of you. Essential. You need it functional to be healthy, to be complete, to be the wolf you were meant to be. He handed her water from nearby bench. We train every day. Build strength, build skill, build confidence until shifting is natural again. Until you can call your wolf without trauma blocks. You will be ready when Gideon moves. I will make certain of it. That is my promise as your king and your mate. The debriefing that afternoon was thorough and exhausting. Kieran and 2 intelligence analysts took her through every memory, every detail of the attack, building comprehensive timeline, constructing evidence that would hold up in tribunal. By hour 5, her head pounded, but she pushed through, gave them everything, every scent, every sound, every moment burned into traumatic memory. When they finished, Kieran dismissed the analysts with curt nod, poured her water with hands that were surprisingly gentle for their size. You have tactical mind, good memory, pattern recognition. That is valuable beyond just witness testimony. He sat across from her. Tomorrow we continue this work. Training in morning, debriefing after. You also need to understand court politics, pack dynamics. You are my mate, whether we want it or not. That makes you future queen. You need to know how this world works, how to navigate it, how to survive it. I do not want to be queen. I did not want a mate, yet here we are, bound by fate, stuck with responsibilities we did not choose. We can resent it, fight it, make ourselves miserable. Or we can accept reality, adapt, make it functional, build something worth having from unwanted circumstances. His gold eyes were steady, serious. That is the choice we both face, every day. What we make of this bond, your choice how you proceed. Before she could answer, alarms blared. Red lights flashed. His radio exploded with urgent chatter. Attack on eastern perimeter. Heavy casualties. Full assault. This was not probe, not raid. This was war. Gideon was moving. The siege had begun. Everything they had feared was happening. And everything was about to change. The first wave hit before Kieran finished issuing orders. Gideon's forces came fast and coordinated. Not the disorganized rabble of rogue wolves, but trained fighters moving with military precision. 1,500 attackers against 800 defenders. The math was brutal, the outcome uncertain. Elara found herself running beside Kieran toward the command center as explosions shook the fortress, as screams echoed through stone corridors, as war came home in ways that made Wolfsbane feel like distant nightmare. "You go to secure bunker with civilians," Kieran commanded without looking at her. His attention was on tactical displays lighting up with threat assessments. His wolf was close to surface, eyes more gold than human, ready to shift and fight, ready to defend his territory. "You are too valuable to risk in combat. You are witness. You are—" He stopped, could not finish, could not say mate even when bond sang between them demanding he protect her. "No." The word came out harder than intended. Elara planted her feet. "I am not hiding while others fight. I can help. Let me help. You just shifted for first time in months. You are not combat ready. Then put me somewhere I can be useful without fighting. I will not hide. I will not be protected like breakable thing while people die. I refuse." They stared at each other. King and mate. Authority and defiance. The bond pulled tight between them, demanding they stay close, demanding he protect, demanding she submit. But neither was willing to bend. Finally, Kieran made decision that split the difference. "Command center. You coordinate communications, track enemy movements, feed me real-time intelligence, same as you would have done in Border Patrol. You do not fight unless they breach the center. Then you shift and you run. Understood?" "Understood." The command center was organized chaos, screens everywhere showing drone footage and sensor data, radio chatter constant, officers shouting coordinates. Kieran took position at the central tactical display. Elara found the communication station, pulled on headset, started coordinating the flood of information into something useful, something actionable. Her Border Patrol training kicked in, pattern recognition, threat assessment, resource allocation. She had done this before on smaller scale. This was same concept, just larger, more deadly, higher stakes. "Eastern wall under heavy pressure," she reported, voice steady despite fear. Despite Bond screaming that she should be near Kieran, that separation was wrong. "Estimate 300 hostiles, using explosives to breach. Recommend reinforcing with reserve platoon from north. Artillery support grid, Echo 7. Kieran absorbed information, made decisions, gave orders that sent wolves running. The reserve platoon moved, artillery boomed, shells rained down on enemy positions. The breach attempt failed, but cost was mounting, 12 dead, 28 wounded. They had been fighting 30 minutes, could not sustain these losses, could not bleed at this rate and survive. Hours blurred together. Attack, defend, casualties. Elara coordinated everything from her station, tracked movements, predicted threats, fed Kieran intelligence that let him respond before attacks fully developed. The bond helped in unexpected ways. She could feel his tactical mind working through their connection, could anticipate what he needed before he asked. They moved in sync, complemented each other, became more effective together than apart. The mate bond was not just biology, it was tactical advantage. Night fell. Fighting continued. Gideon used darkness for infiltration, small teams with explosives, trying to breach from unexpected angles. They caught most, killed them before damage was done, but 3 teams got through, detonated charges in vehicle depot, destroyed fuel reserves, ammunition, medical supplies. Secondary explosions lit the night. The fortress shook. Gideon was winning logistics war even as he lost tactical battles. Dawn brought no relief. Kieran had been awake 36 hours, eyes bloodshot, movements slower, but mind still sharp, still making decisions that kept them alive. Elara had not left her post, had not slept, could not. Too much depended on her doing this job, on her being useful instead of burden, on her proving she was more than broken Omega needing protection. "Second wave forming," she reported. Her voice was hoarse from hours of constant communication. "Gideon committing reserves, 500 fresh fighters. They will hit South Wall, hard. We cannot hold another assault like this." Kieran studied displays, calculated angles, assessed capabilities, made decision that would haunt him. Pull back from outer perimeter, abandon South Wall, consolidate to inner defensive ring, tighter lines, more concentrated firepower. We cannot hold everything. We choose what matters most. The order went out. Defenders fell back, gave ground, contracted defensive perimeter. Gideon's forces surged forward, took outer wall, took south courtyard, got one step closer to heart of fortress. But defenders were stronger in inner ring, more concentrated, more deadly. They held, barely, at cost of another 80 casualties. Medical was overwhelmed, out of supplies, out of beds, out of everything except dying wolves and desperate hope. "We cannot hold another assault," Kieran said, speaking not to anyone specifically, but to fate itself, to gods who did not answer. "We are out of time, out of options. Reinforcements are still 48 hours away. We will not last that long." "Then we change the game." Elara stood, approached the tactical display where he stood alone, where he carried weight of command, of decision, of lives that depended on choices he made. "Gideon is directing this from forward command post, 5 kilometers east. If we eliminate him, the attack loses coordination. His forces fragment. We buy time for reinforcements to arrive. Decapitation strike, suicide mission through active combat zone." Kieran looked at her, really looked, saw not Omega, not mate, but tactical mind that understood what he was thinking before he said it. "I would need 20 of my best, volunteers who understand they might not return." "I volunteer." "No." Immediate. Absolute. His wolf surged forward, eyes flaring full gold. "You are too valuable. You are witness. You are—" Again he could not say it, could not acknowledge what she was to him, what the bond meant. "You stay here. That is order." "I am your mate. That means I am equal, not subordinate." Elara moved closer, close enough to feel his breath, close enough for Bond to sing. "I fight beside you, not behind you. That is what mates do. Or did fate make mistake giving you an Omega who refuses to hide?" They stared at each other. The bond pulled, demanded. His wolf wanted to say yes, wanted her close, wanted to fight beside his mate the way wolves were meant to. His human mind screamed no, screamed protect, screamed that losing her would destroy him in ways he could not survive. The conflict was written across his face, in the tension of his body, in the way his hands clenched. Finally he made decision. "You come, but you stay close. You follow orders. And if I tell you to run, you run and you do not look back. Those are conditions, non-negotiable." Agreed. Within an hour, 20 volunteers assembled. Marcus Thorne was among them. He had arrived during the siege, had fought on the walls, had proved himself. Now he requested place on the strike team, redemption for failure at Iron Peak, atonement for believing Cassandra's lies. Kieran approved without hesitation. Good soldiers were needed. Marcus had shown he was good when it counted. They geared up in what remained a vehicle depot. Weapons, ammunition, explosives, everything needed to kill a warlord. Elara checked her rifle, loaded magazines, felt weight of grenades on her vest. She could shift and fight as wolf if needed, but sometimes bullets were more effective than claws. Beside her, Marcus worked in silence, his hands steady despite exhaustion, despite fear, despite knowing this might be one-way trip. "You do not have to come," Elara said quietly. "You have already fought enough, already proved yourself. I have to come, have to prove I remember honor, have to make my failure mean something." Marcus met her eyes. "I failed you once, believed lies, condemned you. I will not fail again. If I die today, I die making that right. That is all I ask." Before Elara could respond, alarms blared again. Different tone, internal, security breach. Kieran's radio crackled. Intruder in command wing, armed, dangerous, moving toward Elara's quarters, toward Royal Wing. Someone had penetrated fortress during chaos of siege, was inside, was hunting. Kieran moved fast, shifted to wolf mid-stride, black beast that was all teeth and fury. His pack followed. Elara ran with them, shifted as she moved, gray wolf matching black. They hit Royal Wing at full speed, found guards down, throats cut, professional work, found door to council chambers open, found Cassandra. Elara's sister stood in the center of the room, covered in blood that was not hers, holding blade that dripped. 3 more guards dead at her feet. She looked up as they entered, saw Elara, saw Kieran, smiled. "Hello, sister. I wondered when you would notice. I have been here for hours, waiting, learning, gathering what I need." She held up data drive, classified coalition intelligence, everything stored in this fortress, everything Gideon would pay fortune to possess. "This is worth more than you, worth more than your pathetic mate bond, worth position in the new order when Gideon wins. And he will win, because I am giving him everything he needs." Kieran shifted to human, stood naked and furious. "You will not leave this fortress alive. You think you can stop me? You are stretched thin, fighting war on walls, your best fighters deployed. I chose this moment specifically, studied your patterns, your weakness, and weakness is always the same, always her." Cassandra pointed at Elara. "You love her even if you will not say it. The bond makes you weak, makes you predictable, makes you easy to manipulate." She moved, fast, faster than wolf should move without shift, straight toward Elara, blade aimed to kill, to remove rival, to eliminate sister who had everything Cassandra wanted. Title, position, king's favor, mate bond, everything. Elara met the charge, shifted to human, caught Cassandra's wrist. They went down fighting, sisters who had never been close, who had always competed, now fighting to death on cold stone. Cassandra was trained, intelligence operative, knew how to kill. But Elara had rage, had grief, had 3 months of trauma forging her into something harder, something that refused to break. They rolled, clawed, bit, fought with nails and teeth and fury. The blade skittered away, became hand to hand. Cassandra got position, straddled Elara, hands around throat, squeezing. "You were always weak, always pathetic, and now you die. And I take your place, take everything you do not deserve." Vision blurred, air gone. Elara's wolf surged, shifted, mid-struggle. Cassandra fell back shocked. Elara's wolf lunged, jaws closed on throat, bit down, tasted blood, felt pulse beneath fur, felt life ebbing. Cassandra's eyes went wide, hands scrabbled, then went still, then stopped moving, then died. Elara shifted back to human, covered in her sister's blood, shaking, crying. She had killed her own sister. The bond pulled. Kieran was there, pulled her into his arms, first real embrace since bond formed. "You did what was necessary, what you had to do to survive. That is not murder. That is self-defense. She was my sister. She was a traitor who chose power over pack, over family, over you. She made her choice. You made yours. You chose to live. That is not crime. That is victory." Marcus retrieved the data drive from Cassandra's body, looked at it. "This has everything. Defensive positions, patrol schedules, secure communications. If Gideon gets this, we lose. Fortress falls, coalition collapses. Then we make sure he never gets it." Kieran took the drive, crushed it, destroyed it beyond recovery. "And we end him before he can try again." The War Council convened emergency session, 20 commanders exhausted and desperate. Gideon's forces were regrouping, would attack again within hours. Coalition was down to 500 effective fighters, could not hold another major assault. Reinforcements were still 36 hours away. They were out of time, out of options, out of everything except desperation. Commander Voss stood, silver-haired, cold eyes, Kieran's most trusted advisor. "I propose we evacuate. Pull back to secondary positions, regroup. We cannot win here. We save what we can and live to fight another day." "We cannot evacuate," Kieran said. "Gideon expects retreat. He has forces positioned to ambush withdrawal. We would be slaughtered in withdrawal. We hold or we die. Those are options. Then we die. Voss's voice was cold, matter of fact. We all die because you refuse to make hard choice, refuse to abandon position, refuse to admit defeat. I refuse to surrender while we still have option, while we still have hope. Kieran looked around table. Gideon operates from forward command. We strike there, kill him. His forces collapse. We win through decapitation, not attrition. Suicide mission with no guarantee of success. Voss was becoming agitated, unusual for him. You risk best fighters on desperation play. I risk everything on final throw of dice, because that is what leaders do. That is what is required. Kieran's gold eyes locked on Voss. Unless you have better option. I have option you refuse to consider. Negotiate. Surrender fortress in exchange for safe withdrawal. Gideon might accept, might let us go if we give him victory. Gideon does not negotiate. He conquers. He kills. There is no surrender that does not end in massacre. Kieran stood. The strike mission proceeds. 20 volunteers. We move in 4 hours. Any objections? Silence. Then Voss stood. I object. This is madness. This is throwing away lives on hope. I cannot support it. Then you are relieved. Remove yourself from War Council. I will deal with you after we win. Kieran's voice was absolute. Final. Voss opened mouth to protest, closed it, turned and left. His face showed nothing, but Elara saw calculation in his eyes, saw wheels turning, saw something that made her wolf bristle. He is going to betray you, Elara said after Voss left. I know what betrayal looks like now. I see it in him. He is planning something. Let him plan. We will deal with whatever comes. Right now, we have mission to execute. Kieran gathered the strike team, briefed them, showed them route, showed them objective, showed them how slim their chances were. Everyone nodded. Everyone accepted. Everyone knew this was only way. We leave in 2 hours. Gear up. Say farewells. We might not return. Make peace with that. Elara found herself alone with Kieran for first time since bond formed. They stood in his private quarters, away from others, away from war, just them and bond pulling, demanding, making proximity intense in ways neither could ignore anymore. I do not want you to come, he said finally. I want you safe, want you protected, want you to survive even if I do not. That is what mate bond demands. That is what my wolf needs. And I need to fight beside you, need to prove I am equal, need to show I am not weak thing to be protected. Elara moved closer. Close enough to touch, close enough for Bond to sing. We are mates. We fight together. We survive together. Or we die together. That is what bond means, not protection. Partnership. You could die. So could you. Would you have me stay behind and wonder? Would you have me wait and hope and never know until someone comes to tell me you are gone? That is cruelty. That is torture. I would rather die fighting than live with that. He pulled her close. First real embrace since bond formed. She fit against him like pieces designed to interlock. The bond settled, calmed, felt right for first time since it snapped into place. I cannot lose you. I have lost too much already, lost too many over too many years. I cannot survive losing mate, even mate I did not want, even mate I tried to resist. You are mine now. My wolf has claimed you. My heart has accepted you. My future includes you. I cannot lose that. Then do not lose me. Fight beside me. Keep me safe by keeping me close. That is answer. Not separation. Partnership. She looked up, met gold eyes that had haunted her since first meeting. Together? Together. They armed up, said farewells. Marcus checked his weapons with mechanical precision. The strike team assembled. 20 wolves, best fighters, most experienced, all understanding this might be one-way trip, all choosing to go anyway because that was what warriors did, what defenders did, what wolves did when their king called. They moved out as sunset, used darkness for concealment, shifted to wolf form for speed, crossed no man's land between fortress and enemy positions. The bond let Elara stay close to Kieran even in darkness, let her feel his presence, let her follow even when eyes could not see. They moved as mated pair, complemented each other, became more effective together than apart. The ambush came 2 kilometers from objective. 30 enemy wolves, waiting, hidden. They struck from multiple directions, trying to cut down Strike Team before they reached Gideon. Brutal fight in darkness, tooth and claw, primal violence. Elara fought beside Kieran, gray wolf matching black. She was smaller but fast, used speed over strength, dodged, struck, killed. They moved in perfect sync. The bond made them devastating, made them one unit with two bodies. The ambush broke, 15 enemy dead, 2 Strike Team casualties. They continued. Gideon's command post was exactly where intelligence said. Farmhouse surrounded by 200 guards. Too many to fight through. They would have to use stealth, deception. Kieran split the team, Marcus north, him south, converging strike. Marcus's team would create diversion. Kieran's would kill Gideon. Simple, not easy, possibly impossible. "I'm sorry," Marcus said before they split, "for everything, for believing lies, for failing you. I hope this makes it right." "It does," Elara said. "You are good male, honorable. You made mistakes. So did I. So do we all. You are fixing them. That is all anyone can ask." They split. Marcus's team moved north. Kieran's moved south. Elara stayed close to her mate. They infiltrated guards, shifted to human, used stolen coalition uniforms from the dead, bluffed past checkpoints, got within striking range. Then Marcus's charges detonated. North side of compound exploded in massive fireball. Guards rushed toward chaos. Kieran's team rushed toward command center. They breached doors, cleared rooms, killed everyone they found. Got to second floor where Gideon waited. Found him in command chamber, 6'5", scarred, ancient, powerful. He smiled when he saw them. "Blackthorne, I was hoping you would come. Everything has led to this. You, me, final confrontation between old order and new." "Your new order dies tonight," Kieran said. Shifted to Wolf. Massive black beast. Gideon shifted too. Equally massive, brown and gray, scarred. They circled. 2 ancient predators. 2 alphas who could not share territory. 2 philosophies that could not coexist. They charged. The fight was brutal, primal, tooth and claw and savage fury. They rolled, bit, tore flesh, both wounded, both refusing to stop. Gideon was faster, more aggressive. Kieran was tactical, more patient. They were evenly matched, perfect mirror, could fight for hours without resolution. Then Gideon made mistake. Turned his back on Elara, dismissed her as threat. She shifted, lunged, bit his hind leg, hamstrung him. He collapsed. Kieran was on him instantly, jaws around throat, crushing, killing. Gideon struggled, failed, died. Radio crackled. "Kieran, this is Marcus. I am pinned, lost 4 fighters, cannot extract. I can detonate remaining explosives, can create opening for you. But I will not survive. Tell my father I died with honor. Tell him I remembered who I was." "Marcus, no." Elara shifted to human. "Find another way, please." "There is no other way. This is my redemption. This is my honor. Goodbye, Elara. I hope you find happiness with your king." The explosion was massive, shook the building, killed hundreds, broke Gideon's army. They scattered, ran, surrendered. The siege lifted, victory achieved, at cost of Marcus's life, at cost of honor purchased through sacrifice. They found him in rubble, dead but intact. He had died making choice, had died as warrior. Kieran closed his eyes. He earned his honor back. He died well. Elara wept. For Marcus, for sister, for everyone lost. Kieran held her, let her mourn, let her grieve. Then they went home to fortress that still stood, to war that was over, to future that waited. 3 weeks later, medals were awarded. Marcus received his posthumous. His father accepted, broken but proud. Elara received commendation. Formally introduced as future queen, court accepted her. She had proved herself in battle, had earned respect through blood. No one questioned her right anymore. That night, Kieran came to her quarters. First time since bond formed that they were alone, really alone. "I want to complete the bond," he said. "If you agree, if you choose this, I will not force, will not demand. This must be choice." "I choose this. Choose you. Choose us." She moved close. "Complete the bond." He kissed her. Gentle, then fierce. The bond sang. He shifted partially. Fangs extended, bit her neck, marked her, claimed her. She bid him back. Equality. Partnership. The bond completed. Golden light filled the room. They were one, mated, bonded, forever. The war was over. The future waited, and they faced it together. 6 months had passed since the siege ended, 6 months since Gideon died and his army scattered, 6 months since Marcus sacrificed himself and Cassandra betrayed everything, 6 months since Elara's life changed in ways she could never have imagined standing in that refugee camp. Now she stood in the council chamber of Obsidian Fortress, not as Omega refugee, but as queen, as Kieran's mate, as Luna of all Lycans under coalition authority. The weight of the title still felt strange, heavy, but increasingly right. The council chamber was full. 20 regional alphas, 50 advisors, intelligence officers and military commanders. Everyone who mattered in coalition hierarchy. They had gathered for quarterly strategic assessment, to discuss threats, to allocate resources, to make decisions that affected thousands of wolves across the territories. Elara sat at Kieran's right hand, equal position, symbol of partnership. Some alphas still looked uncomfortable with Omega Queen, with mate chosen by fate instead of political calculation, but none questioned her right anymore. Not after the siege, not after she had fought and bled and proved herself. Eastern territories continue to show concerning patterns. The intelligence briefing officer was young beta named Chen, competent, thorough. He pulled up tactical displays showing activity across the border regions. We are seeing increased recruitment, radicalization, echoes of Gideon's rhetoric about returning to old ways, about pack dominance over coalition law, about letting strong rule and weak serve. Nothing organized yet, no central leadership we have identified. But the ideology is spreading faster than we can counter it. Kieran leaned forward, studied the data with focus that made lesser wolves uncomfortable. His presence filled the room even sitting still. Gideon is dead, but his ideas live. That is always the challenge. You can kill the man, but killing the movement is harder. What are our response options? We recommend increased intelligence gathering, human assets on the ground, signals intercepts, identifying emerging leaders before they consolidate power. We also recommend targeted interventions, offering those packs economic incentives to stay loyal, infrastructure improvements, trade advantages, make coalition membership valuable enough that radicalization loses appeal. Bribes, one of the older alphas said. Gray muzzle, scarred face, veteran of blood wars. We reward disloyalty with benefits while loyal packs get nothing. We invest in stability before we pay for war, Elara said. All eyes turned to her. She kept her voice calm, reasonable. Prevention costs less than conflict. If we can keep those packs from radicalizing through economic development, that is cheaper than fighting another siege, cheaper than losing more wolves like we did 6 months ago. The dead stay dead. Preventing death is always preferable. The old alpha studied her, then nodded slowly. Queen speaks wisdom, prevention over treatment. I support the proposal. Others nodded agreement. The measure passed. Chen noted the decision, moved to next item. The meeting continued for 3 hours. Trade disputes, border conflicts, resource allocation. Elara participated in everything, offered perspectives, made suggestions. Kieran listened to her input, valued her opinions. They worked as team, made better decisions together than either could alone. The mate bond was not just personal, it was strategic advantage. When the council adjourned, Kieran pulled her aside. You handled the Eastern Territories discussion well, made the case better than I could have. The old guard respects strength, but they also respect wisdom. You showed both. I learned from watching you. You lead by making them think your decisions are theirs, by building consensus instead of commanding obedience. It works better than forcing submission. That is queenship. That is what I needed but did not know how to find. What fate gave us whether we wanted it or not. He touched her face, gentle despite the calluses on his hands, despite the violence those hands were capable of. I am grateful for the bond now. Grateful fate chose you. Grateful you did not give up on us when I was fighting it. I almost did give up, almost asked you to break it, to reject the mate bond and let me go. She covered his hand with hers. I am grateful I stayed, grateful we found way to make this work, grateful for partnership instead of romance, for respect instead of passion. That is better foundation. That is what lasts. He kissed her. Soft, sweet, then deeper. The bond sang between them. 6 months of building trust, of learning each other, of becoming team. The physical intimacy had come slowly, carefully. She was still healing from trauma, still learning to trust. He was patient, gentle. Let her set pace, let her lead when she needed control. The mate bond was not about dominance. It was about partnership, about equals choosing each other every day. "I need to check on something," he said, pulling back reluctantly. "Intelligence has concern about Voss, about his activities before we arrested him, about connections he might have maintained. I want you to review the reports. Tell me if you see patterns I might miss. Your tactical mind catches things I overlook." Voss. The name still made her wolf bristle. Kieran's most trusted advisor who had tried to sabotage the siege defense, who had recommended retreat when victory was possible, who had been working for Gideon for years, feeding intelligence, undermining operations, positioning Gideon to win. He had been arrested the day after the siege ended, was awaiting trial for treason. But the damage he had done was still being uncovered. The connections he had maintained were still being mapped. "I will review everything. We'll have analysis ready by tomorrow." She kissed him once more. "Be safe. I know you are meeting with border patrols. I know it is dangerous territory. Come back to me. Always." He left. The bond stretched between them. Uncomfortable when they were apart, but tolerable now. The first weeks had been painful. Physical aches when separated. Now it was just awareness. Just knowing where he was. Feeling his general emotional state. The bond had settled. Become comfortable instead of demanding. That was good. That meant they were truly mated, truly bonded, truly one. Elara went to the intelligence archives, accessed Voss's files, everything they had collected over months of investigation. Communications, financial records, travel logs. She started reading, compiling, looking for patterns. Hours passed. The data was overwhelming. Voss had been thorough, had covered his tracks well, but not perfectly. Nobody was perfect. Everyone made mistakes. She just had to find them. 3 hours later, she found the first thread. A communication to an unknown number, coded but clumsy. She pulled the encryption, ran it through analysis, got partial decode. Enough to see the message was recent, sent 2 days ago, from prison. Voss was still communicating with someone, still passing intelligence, still betraying them even locked in cell. She pulled more communications, found pattern. Messages sent every few days, always coded, always to same number, always containing tactical updates, patrol schedules, leadership movements, everything Gideon would have wanted, everything his successor would need. Voss was not just traitor, he was active threat, was still operating even imprisoned. Elara took findings to Kieran immediately, found him in training yard, drilling new recruits. He stopped when he saw her face. "What did you find?" "Voss is still communicating, still passing intelligence. He has access somehow, equipment hidden or corrupted guards. He is feeding someone everything we do, everything we plan. We have active leak in our most secure facility." Kieran's expression went cold. "Show me." They reviewed evidence together. Kieran called security, ordered immediate search of Voss's cell. They found the phone hidden in wall cavity, smuggled by corrupted guard, found encrypted messages, found everything. Kieran's fury was terrible, ancient rage, power that made walls shake. Interrogate the guard, find out who he reports to, find out who Voss is feeding. I want names, I want locations. I want this network destroyed before they strike. The guard broke quickly, gave them names, gave them locations, revealed that Voss was communicating with Gideon's former lieutenants, with Victor Steele, who had escaped during the siege chaos, with remnants of the army that had scattered but not disbanded. They were regrouping, rebuilding, planning revenge, planning to finish what Gideon started, and Voss was helping them. "We need to move now," Kieran said, "before they realize we discovered their network, before they scatter again. I want strike teams ready in 6 hours. We hit all locations simultaneously. We capture or kill every one of them. We end this completely." "Let me come." Elara knew he would resist, knew his instincts screamed to protect her. "I need to face Victor, need to confront the wolf who led the attack on Wolfsbane, need justice for my pack, for my parents, for everyone who died. That is my right as survivor, my right as queen. Do not deny me this." Kieran looked at her. The bond carried his conflict. His wolf wanted her close, wanted to fight beside mate. His human mind wanted her safe, wanted her protected. Finally he nodded. You come, but you follow my orders. You stay close. You do not take unnecessary risks. Victor is mine. You have your justice, but I deliver final blow. That is compromise. Take it or stay behind. I take it. The strike teams assembled, 60 wolves, best fighters, most experienced. They had 6 targets, 6 locations where Gideon's remnants were hiding. Kieran commanded primary team targeting Victor. Elara was with him. They moved out at midnight, used darkness, used surprise, used overwhelming force. The strikes were simultaneous, coordinated, devastating. 5 locations fell quickly, minor resistance, prisoners taken, intelligence gathered. But the 6th location, Victor's location, that was different. Victor was ready, had seen them coming somehow, had fortified position, had 30 fighters ready to die defending him. The strike team hit hard, shifted to wolf form, attacked with primal fury. The fight was brutal, vicious. Elara fought beside Kieran. They moved as mated pair, complemented each other, covered weaknesses, maximized strengths. The bond made them devastating, made them weapon that could not be stopped. They fought through defenders, reached the building where Victor waited, breached doors, cleared rooms, found him on top floor. Scarred face, cold eyes. The wolf who had ordered Wolfsbane burned, who had killed 217 souls, who had stolen her father's intelligence, who had started this war. He smiled when he saw her. The Omega survivor. I remember you. Remember pulling you from rubble. Remember being surprised you lived. I should have finished the job. You should have, Elara said, shifted to human, drew blade. But you did not. Now I finish what you started. Now I deliver justice. Justice? Victor laughed. You know nothing of justice. You know nothing of what we fight for. Coalition weakness, rules that protect the weak and punish the strong. We are wolves, predators. We should rule, not serve. That is what Gideon understood. That is what I will continue. Gideon is dead. His dream is dead. Tonight you join him. Kieran stepped forward, shifted to human. You murdered innocents, burned packs, stole intelligence. Those are war crimes. The penalty is death. Then kill me. But know this, I am not the only one. We are legion. We are everywhere. You kill me and 10 more take my place. You cannot stop us, cannot stop the future. The old ways return. The strong will rule again. The old ways died for a reason, Elara said, because they led to endless war, to packs destroying each other, to wolves dying for pride and dominance. Coalition is not perfect, but it is better than blood wars, better than clan conflicts, better than what you offer. Spoken like weak Omega who knows nothing of strength. Victor drew blades. Come then. Show me this coalition strength. Show me why I should fear laws written by cowards. Kieran attacked, shifted mid-charge. Black wolf. Victor met him. Brown gray wolf. They collided, rolled, bit, tore flesh, both wounded, both refusing to yield. Elara circled, looked for opening, found it. Victor exposed his flank, focusing on Kieran. She shifted, lunged, hamstrung him. He collapsed. Kieran's jaws closed on throat, crushed windpipe, held until life fled, until justice was served, until Victor died. Silence. Just breathing. Just the bond settling. Just awareness that it was over. The remnants were captured or dead. The network was broken. The threat was ended. Elara shifted back to human, looked at Victor's body, felt nothing, no satisfaction, no relief, just emptiness where revenge should have been. I thought killing him would help, would give closure, would make the pain less. It does not. They are still dead. Wolfsbane is still gone. Justice does not bring them back. No, Kieran said, shifted to human, pulled her close. Justice does not heal. It just ends the wound from spreading, from infecting everything. You got what you needed, even if it is not what you wanted. That is real world. That is hard truth. They returned to Obsidian Fortress as dawn broke, returned victorious. The captives were processed, interrogated, tried, executed or imprisoned based on crimes. Voss was executed for treason, the corrupted guard with him. The network was dismantled. The threat was ended. Coalition could breathe again, could rebuild, could move forward. 2 weeks later, Elara stood in the cemetery where Wolfsbane survivors had buried their dead. Small memorial, simple stones, names carved with love. She placed flowers on her parents' marker, knelt in grass, let tears come. I got justice for you, got the wolves who killed you. It does not bring you back, but I hope it means something. I hope you can rest now. I hope you are proud of who I became. I hope the pain was worth something. Kieran waited nearby, giving her space, giving her time to grieve properly. When she finished, she went to him. Let him hold her, let the bond comfort. Thank you for letting me do this, for understanding I needed closure, even if closure does not heal. You are welcome. You deserve justice, deserved answers, deserved to look the ones responsible in the eye and deliver consequences. He kissed her forehead. You are stronger than you think, braver than you believe, better queen than you know. I am grateful fate chose you, grateful every day that I stopped fighting the bond, that I let myself love you even when I tried not to. I love you too. Did not think I would. Did not think I could after losing everyone. But I do. Love you. Trust you. Choose you. Every day. That is what mate bond means, not just fate. Choice. Choosing each other even when it is hard, especially when it is hard. They went home to fortress, to kingdom, to life they had built from ashes and unwanted bonds, to partnership that had become love, to future that waited. 6 months later, Elara sat in intelligence briefing room. Analyst now in addition to queen. She divided her time between court duties and tactical work, between diplomacy and strategy. She was good at both. Kieran sat beside her. They reviewed reports on Eastern territories, on radical elements, on threats that never fully disappeared, just changed form, adapted, evolved. But they were ready, were stronger together, were building something worth defending. Eastern pack leaders are requesting audience, Chen reported. They want to discuss integration, want to formalize ties to coalition. The economic development worked. They see benefits of membership over isolation. They want in. Grant the audience, negotiate terms, bring them into the fold properly. Kieran looked at Elara. Your proposal worked. Investment over intervention. Economics over violence. That is wisdom I did not have before you. That is what you brought to partnership. We balance each other. You bring strength. I bring strategy. Together we are better than separate. That is what mate bond gives us. That is why fate chose us. She leaned against him. Let bond hum contentedly. We won. Not just the war. Everything. We survived. We adapted. We built something good from tragedy and unwanted circumstances. That is victory. That is life, Kieran said. Not perfect, not easy, but good. Better than I expected. Better than I deserved. I am grateful for all of it. Grateful for you. The briefing continued. They worked side by side, made decisions, solved problems, built their kingdom, their life, their future. Outside threats remained, always would, but they faced them together, as mates, as partners, as king and queen who had earned their titles, who had proved themselves, who had transformed unwanted bond into unbreakable partnership. That night they stood on observation deck, same place where Elara had stood months ago, unable to sleep, unable to process, unable to imagine future. Now she stood with mate, with purpose, with life worth living. Do you ever regret it? She asked. The bond, me, all of this. Never, Kieran said. I fought it, resented it, tried to deny it, but I never regretted it. You made me better, made my life better, made everything better. Fate knew what it was doing, knew what I needed even when I did not. I am grateful for that, grateful for you, grateful for us. Me too. She turned to face him. Let bond pull them close. Let love fill spaces where grief used to live. Thank you for not giving up, for forcing me through trauma blocks, for making me shift when I could not, for giving me purpose when I had none, for making unwanted bond into chosen partnership, for everything. He kissed her, deep, sweet, full of promise. You are welcome. You are everything. You are my mate, my queen, my partner, my love. I choose you every day, forever. Forever, she agreed. kissed him back, let bonds sing, let happiness replace pain, let future replace past. They stood together watching stars, watching kingdom, watching life they had built. Two wolves who had lost everything, who had found each other, who had transformed tragedy into triumph, who had proved that fate sometimes knew better than fear, that bonds could be blessings, that unwanted could become essential, that broken pieces could be forged into something stronger than original, that love could grow from ashes, that queens could rise from refugees, that kings could find equals in unexpected places, that together they were unstoppable. The bond hummed contentedly between them, golden cord connecting chest to chest, heart to heart, soul to soul, mate bond complete, love bond strong, partnership eternal. They were one, they were whole, they were exactly what fate intended, exactly what they needed, exactly right. In the distance a wolf howled, then another, then packs across the territories, singing to moon, celebrating their king and queen, celebrating victory, celebrating peace, celebrating life. The song carried on wind, beautiful, primal, eternal. Kieran and Elara added their voices, howled together, mated pair, alpha and omega, king and queen, partners, equals, forever. The future waited, full of challenges, full of threats, full of responsibility, but they faced it together, would always face it together. That was what mate bond meant, what partnership meant, what love meant. Not perfect happiness, not absence of problems, just certainty that whatever came, they would handle it together, would survive it together, would overcome it together. That was enough. That was everything. That was victory. The war was over, the bond was complete, the queen had risen, and the kingdom was theirs, together, forever, exactly as fate intended, exactly as it should be. Years later, historians would write about the Siege of Obsidian, about Kieran Blackthorne and his Omega Queen, about how refugee became ruler, about how unwanted bond became legendary partnership, about how they transformed coalition from fragile alliance into lasting peace, about how they proved that strength was not about dominance, but about partnership, about how they showed that queens could rise from ashes, that broken wolves could become whole, that fate sometimes knew better than fear, that love could conquer everything, including itself. But that night they did not think about history, did not think about legacy, did not think about anything except each other, except bond between them, except life they had built. They stood on observation deck holding each other, two wolves who had found home, who had found purpose, who had found love in middle of war, who had found everything they needed in last place they expected, who had proved that fate was real, that bonds were sacred, that partnership was power, that together they were unstoppable. The moon rose, full and bright, goddess watching her children, smiling at what they had become, at what they had built, at the love that had grown from tragedy, at the partnership that had conquered everything, at the kingdom they ruled together, at the future they would shape. She was pleased. They were exactly what she intended, exactly what the world needed, exactly right. Kieran and Elara stood together, would always stand together. Mate bond complete, love eternal, partnership unbreakable. The Lycan King and his Omega Queen, conquerors of fate, survivors of war, builders of peace, proof that unwanted bonds could become chosen destiny, that refugees could become royalty, that broken could become strong, that together they were everything. The end was just the beginning. The bond was forever. The love was eternal. The kingdom was theirs, and they ruled it together, as they always would, as fate intended, as it should be, forever.